So here we're going to work with some 30, 60, 90 triangles. So what we have to recognize first is that across from the 30, the smallest angle is going to be our x. Across from the 60 is our long leg, which we call x radical 3. And then finally the hypotenuse, the longest side of the triangle, is going to be 2x. So the first thing you have to do is get your x. Unfortunately for us here, we're already given it. We're given that x equals 8, so that's one side we already have. Now all we have to do is substitute it in. So over here, when I solve for n, we're going to plug in x radical 3. Well, I know that my x is 8, and then we're just going to multiply by radical 3 to get a final answer of 8 radical 3. And then up here, we have 2 times x. And we know that our x is 8, so we plug that in. 2 times 8 gives us 16, so we know m equals 16. And now we're done with the problem, so we solve for the other two sides. So that's when you're given the short leg up here, you're given your x. However, there's many instances where you're not given your x. So in this case, if you label your sides, we have x radical 3 here, and then 2x up here. So since we're not given our x over here, we have to solve for that first. So the side we do have is 2x. So I know that 2x equals 8. So that's the side that I'm given. Well, if I solve for x here, I get that x equals 4. So over here, it may look weird because we're talking about the variable y, but the side we label x is going to be 4 units. Okay, now we're just going to take that 4, and we're going to plug it into this x here, multiply it by radical 3, and just get 4 radical 3. Okay, so our answers are y equals 4, x equals 4 radical 3. But once again, we can choose another side here. Okay, so all three sides are going to be different here. So now our short leg x radical 3 across from the 60, and 2x as our hypotenuse. So this one we're given that the side we have is x radical 3. Again, the first thing we need to do is solve for x. We know that x radical 3 is 6. So we have to divide by radical 3 on both sides. But we can't have that radical 3 on the bottom. So we need to multiply both the top and the bottom by radical 3, which leaves us with 6 radical 3 over radical 9. We can simplify that radical 9 into 3. The square root of 9 gives us 3. And now we can simplify this to just give us 2 radical 3. And that gives us our x value. So over here, our y variable is going to be 2 radical 3. Now that we have our x, we're going to go over the hypotenuse, and we're going to multiply x by 2. So 2 times 2 radical 3. For these, we multiply what's on the outside. We don't have anything to multiply on the inside, so our hypotenuse is going to be 4 radical 3. Okay, there's a bunch of different types of examples you can do for 30, 60, 90. So we'll look at a couple here where we're given radicals, or may have to work with radicals. So again, similar to the last one, we're given x radical 3. We need to find x. We need to find our hypotenuse. So we know that x radical 3 equals 10. And again, just like the last one, we have to simplify this. Okay, so we know x equals 10 over radical 3, but we can't have that radical on the bottom. So that gives us 10 radical 3 over radical 9. Simplifies to 10 radical 3 over 3. Now here we can't simplify 10 divided by 3, so this is our final answer for x. Okay, so our y value over here is 10 radical 3 over 3. That can't be simplified any further. Now when we go to the hypotenuse, we're going to do 2 times that whole number there. So 10 radical 3 over 3. Now if we remember, we're just multiplying fractions here. So this is just 2 over 1. So we multiply straight across. So 20 radical 3 over 3 times 1 is just 3 on the bottom. We cannot simplify 20 over 3. So we just leave it as that. So the hypotenuse here is then 20 radical 3 over 3. A couple more examples that are important to look at here. So this time we're given the hypotenuse. So we're given 2x here. Here's our x. Here's our x radical 3. So again, the first thing we have to do, we don't have x, so we have to solve for it. We have 2x, and we know that 2x is 4 radical 3. To get x by itself, we divide by 2. And here, we can just simplify that, and we're left with 2 radical 3. So we can only simplify what's on the outside there. So we know that our x is going to have a value of 2 radical 3. Now, over here, we're going to work with x radical 3. Well, I just solved for my x, and I saw that that was 2 radical 3. And now we need to multiply here by that radical 3 for the long leg. So there's nothing else to multiply on the outside, so I just keep my 2. On the inside, we have 9. Okay, we know that the square root of 9 is 3, so we get 2 times 3, and our long leg equals 6. Okay, so we get a long leg of 6, a short leg of 2 radical 3. And one more example here. So pay attention to what you have. This time, we're given our x, so we don't have to solve for it. So now we just need to plug it in into the other 2. So if we solve over here for v, we have 3 radical 3, but then we need to remember to multiply by that radical 3 there as well. So it's very important that you label which side you're working with. Multiply on the outside, just the 3. Multiply on the inside, 3 times 3 gives us 9. We can simplify the square root of 9 to get us 3, and then we're just given 9. So the long leg here is going to be 9 units. Okay, now we have to solve for the hypotenuse. So this time we have 2 times our x, which again we're given 3 radical 3. We multiply what's on the outside, so 2 times 3 gives us 6. There's nothing else on the inside, so we just leave it as radical 3, which keeps it in simplest radical form for us, which gives us 6 radical 3. So very important to remember when you have your 30, 60, 90 triangles. Across from your 30 is going to be your x value. Across from your 60 is going to be your x radical 3 value. And then always across from your 90 is the hypotenuse, which is 2x. Okay, this template here, these formulas are very important for you to know.